Have you ever been curious why CatNap didn't kill us in the first place of Poppy Playtime? In today's video, we're going to be answering this question that a lot of people who've played Chapter 3 have been asking. So we're breaking down this challenge into 3 parts. How has CatNap not killed us? 2. Why are we still alive? And 3. What does our life mean to the future of Poppy Playtime? So if that sounds good to you guys, let's get started. At this moment, we can also remember other antagonists like CatNap and Prototype stalled fighting the protagonist, which finally led to their complete defeat. So I recommend not waiting and answering our question, why don't the monsters kill us right away? First of all, let's go back to the very beginning of Chapter 3. If you'll remember, CatNap truly had us in his grasp, right where we wanted to be, passed out after the train accident, holding us and dropping us eventually down into the garbage chute. It was at this point that he had every chance to get his simple way out, killing us as the main characters and ending everything that we could be destroying for his plans. But instead, he threw us in the trash, followed us around the factory and gave us a warning to leave. There's been plenty of times in Chapter 3 where we've passed by CatNap, rarely knowing he was there, almost like he's been watching us all the time. And if you hack the game and fly around the map, you'll find that CatNap has been doing the same thing. He's been in corners, in the darkness, and several times where he's just been looking at us, and he's not the only one. Think about all the other monsters who have done something very similar. The biggest one that stands out is Mommy Longlegs. There was also an endless amount of moments in Chapter 2 where she had the jump on us, where we had no clue that she was inside the building, and she could have killed us long before she finally chased us in the incredible chasing at the end of the game. Mommy Longlegs, the main antagonist of the second chapter. In the past, I have mentioned that there are numerous instances in which she had the potential to take our lives. Ultimately, when we finally meet her and she introduces herself, she simply decides to engage in some lighthearted competition with us.
We're going to play one last game. It's called Hide and Seek. 10, 9, 7.
Although it appeared as though she had no intention of killing us directly, it was more likely that she was just playing with the protagonist. On the other hand, as we are already aware, after playing all of these games with her and eventually getting the most out of her, it ultimately resulted in her passing away once more by this point.
What have you done? It'll make me part of you.
What do you think was the person who was present at the right moment to pick up the pieces? It is not until he drags bags of her body through the grate that we are finally introduced to the prototype. She even stutters for a brief moment, as you can see in this voice clip that is available here.
Wait, I recognize you. Yes, I remember. You used to work here.
While I was playing Chapter 3, that was one of the things that prompted a question in my mind, although I didn't give it much thought. What it does, however, is make you wonder, did we know Miss Delight? Naturally, we must have had some interactions with her because she is aware of it, and I am assuming that she was only in the playcare at the time. Now, this ending scene is a lot more important than we give it credit for, but more on that later. The first theory that I want to bring up is that these monsters have gone through a lot of torment, and this torture was, of course, brought upon them by the employees of the Playtime Co. factory, which was where we used to work. So what if the monsters are keeping us alive to bring pain and torture to us? We have a good number of cases of this, seeing as CatNap did it to one of his fellow smiling critter friends. We have to remember another antagonist who, for some reason, did not hurry to kill us right away in the third chapter. In addition to CatNap, we also meet the wonderful Miss Delight, a former orphanage teacher who ate her other co-workers. Now initially, you would think a character like this would be eager to eat another human, and of course, she was presented with the ultimate chance when we decided to fall into her playcare. We already know she hates everyone who used to formerly work at the Playtime Co. factory, but she decides to do something completely different when we do arrive at the school, actually warning us against CatNap, and you can hear it here for yourself.
CatNap wouldn't like that you're here. You should leave. For your own safety.
And this wouldn't even be the first time she says it's for her safety and warns us lots of times until she finally decides to take things into her own hands. Okay, it's time to talk about the most mysterious character named Prototype. Ever scratch your head wondering why this character, who is essentially one of the main antagonists of the game, was always around us but never actually tried to hurt us? How dark and awful would it be if the prototype was having us kill, or at least lead to the death of our friends, now stuck in these monster bodies? I mean, it's clear that the prototype hated the workers of the Playtime Co. factory, and that kind of attitude trickled down to the other monsters. I think there has to be a reason why the majority of them needed to find a reason to kill us. My opinion here is that they used to at least have some memory of good purpose when it comes to the player. That could explain why Miss Delight recognizes us but doesn't remember. It's possible that we were much more significant than we initially believed we were. Are we known around this place as being one of the nicer employees, or perhaps as a scientist who figured out how to reverse all of these things? This is something that you should consider if you even look back at what Dog Day says about us, which is that we are the savior.
You're Pappy's angel. Come to save us.
Is it possible that this is the true reason we came back, to try to make amends for the things we've done or been a part of in the past, before everything went wrong during the hour of joy? And now, because the prototype despises us and is probably so permanent at this point, he wants to torture us in the most effective way that he can come up with, which is to force us to kill the friends that we were close with whom we were working at the Playtime Company factory. But what do you think about it? The prototype hasn't given a hand to the other monsters at all. It's almost like he's been on our side this whole time. And this is even more clear during the final boss fight with CatNap. At the end of the battle, CatNap is left burnt, but still not dead. The one who does the final strike isn't us, but is the person or thing that CatNap resembled as his god, and that was the prototype, not the player. I mean, he just bounces around here because he saves CatNap before he was put into this bigger body, and then he kills him. So what's he after with all this? And that's what leads me to my second theory, and that's the fact that Prototype's keeping us alive to do his dirty work, to complete his ultimate form. I mentioned this earlier, but think back to when Mommy Longlegs tries to kill us and instead gets trapped in that machine, ripping her body up. She does scream out that she doesn't want to be a part of the prototype, and who other than the prototype decides to drag her body away. Then there's CatNap, he's not even dead. The prototype goes a step further, killing him and then pulling his body away. And what happened to Huggy Wuggy? Still a big question mark. Miss Light ends up smashed by the door, and I think Dog Day's body might still be alive somewhere. Looks like each of these monsters is helping to build this final form of the prototype. Maybe because Prototype's not strong enough to do a lot of his work himself, he counts on us to do it. He doesn't wanting to kill the monsters but getting them to a state where he can take advantage of them. But then there is a very reasonable question. Is this the reason why he's keeping us alive? Are we those who just helping him build this true terrifying form? I mean, we already know that the prototype is very smart and manipulative, and you can hear in his different relations and interactions with the doctor. And the more you think about it, our plans and the prototype's plans combine into one ultimate end, which as long as those lines up will likely stay alive, and he might just be too weak to kill us. Afterward, we see the abilities that we have. We've all seen you how capable you are.
You killed Huggy. You killed Mommy. You freed me. You are perfect for this.
And taking this one step further, there are a lot of layers to this question as to why we're still alive. It could be multiple theories all mixed into one, or the fact that we are doing the bidding for the prototype to kind of complete his process and making that final form. This now leads to the question, how does our life depend on and change the way that we look at the future of this game? For one, it simply depends on when and how long it takes the prototype to complete its final form. This is a mystery, seeing as we don't know what he looks like, what he used to be, and how strong he could be. But what I am thinking here is that as we continue on this upward slope towards the end of the game, the exit, and discovering the real answer that we're looking for, there will come a point where the prototype understands that we are now disposable, similar to his predecessor in the CatNap. And when that moment comes, things are going to get nasty. He's going to come after us in what could potentially be the showdown of the game. But how far along and how many monsters are going to suffer the death of the prototype to that point? Another amazing theory video, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. So, what do you think? Why is Prototype hiding his identity, and why do you think CatNap lets us survive? Let us know your opinion in the comments. I want to thank you all for your love and support, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Also, be sure to check out this video. You'll love it.